Welcome to Not Your Basic Brunettes, where we, Devin and Katie, dive into all things girly and beyond. From sharing TMI moments to navigating life's chaos with humor and vulnerability, we're here to create a safe space for moms, single ladies, entrepreneurs, and corporate girlies alike. Grab a drink, get comfy, and join us as we laugh, cry, and connect through all of life's moments. Now, here are your hosts, Devin and Katie.
All right. Perfect. Well, welcome back to Not Your Basic Brunettes. In this episode, we're going to discuss motherhood.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
And don't forget to follow, subscribe on Spotify.
Yes.
We're on YouTube, TikTok, and
Instagram.
Instagram. All the good things. Help us get some visibility out there.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. We're going to go through a couple questions that we have. This will probably be more than just a one episode because
Yeah.
that's a lot to fit in an
Motherhood is
hour.
the whole package.
I don't know how many questions it popped out for me, like 20.
Thank you, ChatGPT.
Right? I've been using it so much lately.
I know, but it's so good. I'm like, resume, help me with cover letter. Brr. Goddamn.
I literally used it to send a text message the other day. They were like, "You what?" I was like, "I just wanted to make sure it sounded good." I was like, it came from my brain. It just makes it sound
I'm
better.
educated. I just want to make sure that's right. Damn it.
Why not? All right. So the first question, I think.
You want to start from the very beginning, like pregnancy or birth?
Yeah, I have a list of them. Okay. I guess this one's a pretty good one. What are the biggest surprises about pregnancy no one talks about?
Oh, girl, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, people don't like to talk to me about pregnancy.
I know, because we're probably same boat. Fuck that.
Well, I'm just honest, because again, nobody told me anything.
No.
When I wanted to have kids, about the rough pregnancies, things that may happen, all that. So I was thinking going into pregnancy, thinking it's just going to be pretty blissful. Even though I worked OB-GYN, I had most of my cases were pretty well, not having too many issues. And then when I got pregnant, it was awful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but pregnancy is ghetto.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating because you immediately gain so much weight and people don't tell you. And of course, I'm not one of those beach ball belly pregnancies. That wasn't me. And
you immediately just feel crappy.
Yes,
all the time.
Absolutely, just feel like crap. Super tired.
Yeah.
They're always like, "Well, you should exercise. It'll help." And I'm
I
like,
barely get myself out of bed in the morning.
Exactly. And then with my pregnancies, both of them were really rough because with Cairo, I had placenta previa, which is where my placenta went over my cervix. So it was painful. It just felt like a lot of pressure, on your cervix. And it was a high risk. So they were like, you're on bed rest for 3 months. Until it resolves. It usually moves on its own. But
And how early in your pregnancy was that?
That was in my second trimester.
Oh, the good trimester.
The good trimester. Yeah. Damn. So then I was forced to stay home, I was not a good stay-at-home person. With ADD brain, it didn't really work out.
It sounds nice in reality, but then you're forced to do it, and it's like,
yeah.
Now I can't do anything.
And I was like, but I'm nesting. And so I would
Foreshadow.
go out and get stuff for the baby. And Omar's like, you're supposed to be in bed. And I'm like, I just went to pick up something on the porch. I didn't go far, and I sat in the car. It wasn't.
Chill out.
Didn't do anything. And then my second pregnancy, I had pelvic pain. Pelvic girdle pain, which was throughout my entire pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do anything. I did physical therapy and all of that, and nothing helped.
Yeah.
And the best part, there was yeah, that
sucks.
all we can kind of recommend is physical therapy and maybe muscle relaxers. And I'm like, so I'm just in pain for 9 months and can't do anything about it.
Yeah, especially because your second pregnancy, what probably happened to you, happened to me, was your body immediately recognizes so quickly because you had yours 2 years apart too.
Yeah.
So your body's already just let's go,
ready to go.
And so all of your joints and everything and ligaments just
There's
went into
whoa.
relaxing already. And so it's just from early on, you felt so much more pregnant.
Yes.
Than you were, on top of being first one is your first experience. You don't have another child to take care of.
Yeah.
You don't have any of that.
You get to rest and relax.
Take your naps.
Oh,
please take your naps.
Oh my gosh,
please
I miss
take
that.
your naps.
Yeah, if you're in your first pregnancy, please Just enjoy all
Yeah.
your naps and everything that you
When
can
people are
possibly
like,
right
"Don't
now.
do anything." Don't do
Don't do
anything because you
anything.
can't get those back.
And I promise you're not going to be able to do any of those things when you have a toddler and you're
Yeah.
pregnant the second time because there's no extra naps. There's no you time.
No. Yeah, I remember my, like, pregnancy naps on my first, with Campbell, and you would just like pass out so
Oh, so
hard,
hard.
and it was always on the couch, and you just woke up and you're
Yeah.
like in this another dimension essentially,
Yes.
and you're just like, I'm still tired, but that was amazing.
Amazing. Yes.
You're just
Yes.
out like a light. It's like I could wish I could sleep like that now,
Yes.
but no.
Yeah. Nobody either tells you about the heartburn too that comes with
Oh
like
yeah,
pregnancy. Oh my gosh, I already have like acid reflux, like things like that, and I was
yeah,
like, this is awful. Like I was that lady on like pregnancy like movies that have like the big Tums bottles like
mm,
in my
yeah.
purse. That's another
I
one.
took Prilosec. I got morning sickness with both of my kids.
Mm,
Rhea was longer. I had with Campbell to like 16 weeks. And
mm,
then with Rhea, it was almost 20 weeks too.
uh-huh.
And it was just like every morning, it would just be like a routine.
Yes.
And then, like in the first trimester, it would just be like, oh, you think chicken is disgusting and you're going to vomit at the sound of it. The only thing you can eat is like bread, and that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. And it's just like, you need to eat every hour. I'm like, that literally thought of it repulses me. And
Yeah.
I can't, like, how do you tell someone, like, I need to eat because I'm growing a child, but like, one bite and I'm full and I feel
Full.
like I'm gonna throw up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the worst because too, the third trimester, you're
So big and
so
full.
big and full, like literally everything's pressing on your organs. So it's like you can't eat. Like
Yeah.
if you eat a full meal, you're like, oh my god, I'm the most uncomfortable person right now, and
Yeah.
I want to go to bed.
But I can't sleep
But I
because
can't
it's too
sleep.
big and heavy.
Yeah, and then I'm like, but then you have heartburn too because they're pushing on your
I know. And then you
belly.
gotta lay on your side. Yeah.
So
We should probably brought someone else on here and be like, pregnancy was amazing.
that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying because like I would always run into those people, and
Yeah.
they're like, pregnancy's
Well,
amazing.
I had family like that. Like my mom
Yeah.
and my sisters, they loved being pregnant. And like I got pregnant really easily, but it was just like I didn't enjoy the process as much.
Yeah.
And then it makes you feel guilty because you do
Yes.
talk to those people that are like, isn't it wonderful? All this
I'm
other
like,
stuff. And
no.
I'm just like, yeah, it's cool. Like second trimester when you can kind of feel them and it's cool. But it's just like your body is not your own anymore.
Yeah.
It is cool to feel the baby moving inside, but then it's like,
Yeah.
get your fucking head out of my hip bone so
Right.
I could lay comfortably or just
Stop
get like,
kicking me in the stomach.
yeah, like the elbow jabs. You're just like, ugh.
Yes, yes. I absolutely agree with that. I was always so frustrated because I was like, it's magical. And I'm like, I don't feel magical. I don't
Yeah.
feel like a unicorn.
Mm-mm.
I would always tell my old boss, Victor, because he would mess with me at work. And I would be like, I'm not a hippo. I'm a rhino. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, because I'm short and stubby and I'm fat right now, but I will cut you.
I will roll over
I will
you.
cut you with my horn. Leave me alone.
Yeah. I remember my boobs the first pregnancy was just like, oh
Oh, I
my
know.
God. It was
Yes.
just like, yeah. Like the beginning part of pregnancy is just the second one I feel like you know what to expect, but
Yeah.
it's never the same.
It's never the same. And honestly, I thought like you know what to expect. And of course I thought me being one of those typical people thinking, oh, I have different symptoms and different cravings that it's gotta
Yeah.
be a girl this time.
Oh,
It's
I
gotta
know.
be a girl. What?
Yeah. You were so
More boys.
convinced, but I was convinced
so
too.
convinced. I was like, it's a little different and this and that. Da, da, da,
Yeah.
da. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a girl. And then surprise,
Surprise.
shawty.
Nope. Boy
Nope.
mom for you.
That was one of the best moments though, was the gender reveal for that one because we ended up
I remember
surprising.
your video, your face was just like, yay, oh
I was
shit.
like, yay, oh shit. Because then I was like, oh god, I'm gonna have two boys, rowdy boys in my
Yeah.
house. Like, I was like, oh god, it's gonna be like
I
Bash
remember that
Bros.
so I've been like, oh, she's so excited, but the fear in her eyes.
Well,
I was
all
like,
that
"God."
flashed through my head was like Step Brothers.
Yeah.
It was like, did you touch my dress? Like, oh god.
That is funny.
Oh
Okay,
my god.
this is gonna be like a two-part question of like, what was the hardest part of postpartum / what are like some realistic expectations about postpartum?
Um, I would say the hardest, like with my first, Cairo didn't sleep,
Hmm.
so your choice of what you wanted to do in one day was like all the choice you got. So it's like if you got a 45-minute break, it was either go potty, drink water, take a shower, or eat something, or
Yeah.
take a nap.
Yeah.
And most of the time, we take a nap.
Which is so funny because it's like those are things that you need to survive, and you're choosing
Correct.
between the
But you're
list.
choosing between because you literally like they need you every second. When he was very small. He was 6'5".
Really?
But 6'7", 6'7". He was
He's
really
like
small. He was
Rhea's
really
size.
tiny, little wrinkly old man baby.
He didn't come early, did he?
No, he was just we had a week early,
Mm.
induction just
Okay.
because I was like going towards preeclampsia.
hmm
And she was like, let's just be on the safe side. And
Yeah.
I was ready. And I was like, we can go today. How about tomorrow?
Yeah. You right now, you're free.
How about Friday? I'm free tonight. About 7 o'clock. You good? Like,
They're done cooking.
yeah,
We don't
I
need
was
the
ready.
extra browning.
So he was kind of small. So, like he, needed you more, so
Yeah.
eating and functioning and the whole
Yeah.
bang. So, and even Omar, same thing. I mean, we were both dying with only like 45 minutes sleeps at a time. He did not sleep. So we would take each other in 4-hour shifts trying to just help each other out in the night. And then, but during the day, it was still like he had to work full-time
Yeah.
job and I'm like by myself. So it was literally like just sitting on the couch, like laying there.
Like a
he's
potato.
Like,
Yeah.
So that was definitely something hard that I didn't expect. Like I expected to have a little bit more freedom, I guess you'd say. Not freedom, but like more time to like take care of myself.
hmm
And that was a really big deal. So now that I'm more of a veteran mom, I kind of
Yeah.
know like a little bit more what to do and how to do it. But first time mom was really hard with those things. And it's totally normal. Totally normal. Because
Yeah.
like me and Omar would check in with each other and be like, hey, when did you shower last? I was like, oh no. And he would too. And he would too. So we would be like, go take a shower. Like, trying
Yeah.
to check in with each other and being a team as much as possible. What about you?
Yeah, I would say my first postpartum was a lot easier, and like the naivety or whatever, that's
Naivety?
naivety,
Yeah.
not
Naivety.
nativity.
Naivety.
I can see it,
Nativity.
but yeah, whatever. I did so much in my postpartum, like acted like I wasn't postpartum,
Yeah.
and they're always like, just, everybody always tells pregnant people and like just to chill and relax and take naps, and I was like,
hmm
no, I want to do stuff now. And now looking back, it's like I wish I would have taken those naps because I just
Yeah.
it catches up to you as they get older, and that
Absolutely.
sort of need like they sleep so much as well, mine slept so much as like little babies.
Yeah.
Campbell slept through the night pretty early on, but
Uh,
he was not good about taking naps. But I would go to bed earlier and he would stay up with his dad until like 11 and he would put him down, but he would sleep through the night, which is a blessing. I would
nice.
get up
Yeah.
and like pump and feed or whatever as I need to, but nothing to the
Yeah.
extreme of yours. So it's like I was doing so much because I only had a month off after working.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
like back onto working, having a baby in the house at the same time.
Yeah.
And that just catches up with you. And then with Rhea, same thing. I wish I knew that I should have slowed down, but the period in my life where it was like I was the only source of income.
Right.
So again, I only had like 6 weeks off from work
Yeah.
and I didn't get my full income from that either. And we were
Yeah.
looking to buy a house, I was like
It's
taking her
rough.
to showings a week, that sort of stuff. It's like
Yeah.
looking back, it's like, okay, it brought me to where I was, but like I wish I had the mentality and like the not fight or flight to just sit down and enjoy
hmm
doing nothing. But that's
Yeah.
apart from having children, that's really hard for me to do. So
Yeah.
when you have a baby, you're like, oh, I'll just strap her to me, or like I should do
Yeah.
this in between this and this and this. And it's just
Yes.
like I think that's part of like not having a village too in the area
Absolutely.
because you
Yeah.
can't just like grandma's gonna have you, grandpa, other grandma,
Yeah.
like sisters and that sort of stuff that can give you the break when you need it
Oh,
without like
absolutely.
only relying on your partner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
That's definitely rough for
and I
sure.
think like physical recovery too of just like, some women tear. Luckily I didn't, but like you have that, the stitches or
Oh
if you
yeah.
had a C-section, that sort of like physical recovery and like when your milk comes in and dealing with, getting infections and getting your milk out of your boob and breastfeeding when it hurts like a bitch.
Bitch.
That was
Yes.
one thing that really surprised me that no one told me about
Oh
ever.
yeah. The
All the
breast
old
pain.
ladies are like, "Oh, breastfeeding's so beautiful, isn't it?" I was like, I wanted to slap my child every time I put my nipple there, and I couldn't. Campbell was so rough, so I
Yeah.
pumped, and he would just get so frustrated, and I would too. And with Rhea, she was a little bit more gentle and more of a veteran mom, knowing to expect. But it's like they
Yeah.
crack, they bleed,
Oh yeah.
they scar, like it
I was the milk. I
hurts.
was the milk cow. So
Yeah.
it was frustrating because it was constantly like I made so much effing milk that my boobs were always like
And it
filled to
hurts
the
when it comes
brim.
in.
Yeah, and then poor Kai like couldn't keep up with the supply. So I'm like drowning him when he's like trying. He's like, so then I'm like, oh my gosh. Then they were like, well, pump some out and then let him feed, and then like an ultra, but it's like constantly
But then
pumping and pumping and pumping.
when they're so hungry, like you have to do it right then. Otherwise, they
Yeah,
just like lose their every shit, which I don't blame them because that's
yeah,
the only thing they
the
know is to
dough.
eat and
Yes,
sleep, you know? But yeah,
yeah,
I feel like the noise of a pump would make me
yeah.
nauseous.
That used to drive me crazy, and I had to pump, like, the most I could go was 4 hours, like,
Yeah.
I was like, "I have to pump, like, I can't take it,"
Yeah.
and I had to pump because, again, Cairo can't keep up, and then I would pump it out so that Omar could have backup supply and the whole
Yeah.
bang. That's another thing that I would say for breastfeeding is to advocate for yourself. They made me
Yeah.
go to one of those lactation
Yeah.
specialists, right after you have a, and I get that, like,
But
learning
they
how to
kind of
latch
make
and
you feel bad about it
they
though.
did. They do make you feel bad. When my mom was with me at these appointments, even
Mm.
she was looking at me like, "What the fuck?" Because like,
They kept telling me my kids had tongue ties because they weren't like latching correctly. I'm like, I've
yeah,
literally never shoved my boob into a baby's mouth before. Like,
right, yeah,
they don't know what they're doing. We don't know what we're doing, you know?
exactly. Well, and she kept telling me, she's like, "Well, breast is best," and I'm like, "Well, I'm
Oh,
pumping," and
yeah.
and she's like, "Well, try to get him to latch like every time," and I'm like, and I told her finally at the last, I think I went like 4 times in my
Hmm.
last appointment. I was like, "Look," I was like, "I understand breast is best." I was like, "But I need some goddamn sleep."
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pump part of it out so
Yeah.
that I can give my husband a bottle so that I can get some
Yeah.
sleep.
100%.
Okay? And
Yeah.
then she was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
No, I did that with Campbell too, of just like pump during the middle of the night because your boobs wake you up because you're like, oh, we're
"Oh
full
yeah."
and it
You're like,
hurts. You're like,
"Oh."
oh, okay, I gotta go. And he would feed a little bit in the morning, but yeah, I mean, we mixed in pumping and formula because it also, like you said, it gives your partner a chance to
Bond with them.
bond with them
Yeah.
and participate in it where they can't use the excuse like, well,
"Oh,
you
yeah,
don't
I
have
don't have
boobs.
boobs."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You're
like, well,
like,
here's a bottle. Here
"Here's a
you
bottle,
go.
sucker.
It's got the right
See ya.
milk.
I'm gonna shower and shit."
Yeah. Yeah, like I did all the cow work, so here you can,
Yeah. And,
do that.
that's one thing I could say was, like, my husband was really good about that, like, he
Yeah.
really wanted to, like, bond and, like, be there, so he was like, "I'll take him to feed him if you
Yeah.
wanna, like, go." And then, like, speaking of funny, like, restful
I feel like I'm getting
stories.
phantom like letdown
I know you're
syndromes
like,
right now. I'm like, oh, that
"Mer,
hurts.
mer." But speaking of, like, funny, boob stories. So, one time my sister was here helping out
Mhm.
during the first week or so, and, of course, my milk had, like, come like, it finally came, but the next day, like, it came
Oh
in
yeah,
where it
you're
was
like
just, like,
it's like you had a boob
gorge,
job and it was
right?
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did my, like, 4-hour shift, and I finally got, like, 4 hours of sleep, right? Because
Mhm.
Omar took the other 4 hours or whatever, and I woke up, and I had overslept a little bit, so, of course, my boobs were like, "Mayday, mayday," like, they're so like, they're gorging, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my god, they hurt so bad." So I'm like, "I think I just hop in a hot shower to, like,
Yeah.
help them loosen up before I could pump." Well, so I turn on the shower. Well, it's first thing in the morning. I'm like, then you have to take that postpartum poop.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, but I have to poop, like, so bad."
Yeah.
So, like, turn on the shower, I'm butt naked, and I sit on the toilet. Well, because I sit down and I push a little,
I just started
my
squirting.
boobs my boobs start leaking, like, going
Oh.
whoosh, and I'm like, "Cassie!" So I'm, like, trying to grab a towel to, like, pull this against my leaking boobs that are just, like,
Yeah.
pouring out at this point. I'm stuck on the toilet. The shower is going. I was like, "Bring me my breast pump," and she, like, comes flying in with, like, the Spectra
Yeah.
breast pump and the tubes and everything. She comes and
How
she
do I
goes,
look it up?
and she just stops and just goes, "Look at you in all your glory."
Oh yeah.
And then her and I are like cry laughing at this point. Like I just like I can't handle it. My boobs are still spraying
It's
everywhere.
like you just lose complete control of everything. You're just like, it's all happening at
And so,
once.
and so her and I are like cry laughing on the floor. And then here comes my husband,
Oh god.
and he goes, "I don't know
Yeah,
if
I'm
I
gonna
want
turn
to
around.
know."
Yeah, your whole like body self consciousness just goes out the window. 'Cause
Oh
you're
my
like,
god,
this
yes.
stuff is coming out of every orifice that I can't, and my stomach hasn't fully deflated and gone back. That's
Yeah, I
another
still
weird
feel
thing
like
too.
I
Like,
have the baby still.
it's like when you push out your baby, it's like, yeah, the hardness goes, but like you still
Have
have
the lump.
the womb
Yeah.
that was there. So you're just walking around with this like jilly,
Jiggly,
jiggly
jiggly
pouch.
thing.
Like, wow. And some women will just not have that.
Yeah,
Be
that
aware.
wasn't me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And I feel like that's more rare because if they were tiny before, they were probably going to be tiny
Yep.
afterwards. And if you're a normal woman like we are, where we
Yeah.
gained weight in
Yeah.
places, that
They
It'll
gained
eventually come
everywhere.
off,
Yeah,
but it's just like, yeah,
I gained weight everywhere. So
yeah,
it was
your
like,
face.
yeah,
I got really swollen because I like retained so much
oh yeah,
liquid. And so I'm
oh
like
yeah.
looking at people's pictures when they come home with a baby. I'm like, oh, that looks so cute. I'm like, oh, I look like a sad, swollen
Me.
slug.
Oh my gosh, the nurse took the worst picture of me. Right, when they like
Yeah.
you need to deliver. Like, could you have taken a better picture of me? Like, she
Yeah.
takes my like side
Oh, I
profile,
know.
and I just had the baby, so I look like a whale. I've been like pushed
Yeah.
with fluids, and then here's my husband looking great as can be because she takes it at a full frontal from this guy, so
Yeah.
he just looks fabulous
Of course.
with this big old smile on his face, and me and this big old like whale. I was like,
I
how fucking rude of you.
I know.
Could you have taken a nicer
There should be a
picture?
class on school about this.
Yeah, like nurses, please take better pictures. Like that's not the picture I want to show my son at his birth. Like
Yeah.
this is my mother.
And I wasn't a woman that got like dolled up for it because my
No,
first
me
one I was
neither.
not expecting to go into labor, and the second one was like I'm getting induced at 7 a.m.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm not
I
gonna
was
be
getting
full
induced.
faced.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not. I don't know how long I'm going to be there. I put my hair in like French braids because like it was wet, and I just want to make
Yeah.
sure it's like backing out of my face if I go into labor. So
Yeah. Speaking of like dealing with like the, I wouldn't say like the Instagram model moms that
oh
like
god,
bounce back. So, and I know you're going through like this whole thing now
yeah,
because you're still postpartum
yes,
because your son is what, 8 months?
9 months.
9 months. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so postpartum lasts longer than your 12 weeks
It's
of whatever.
technically
It's 2
like
years.
2 or 3 years.
And then
Yeah.
they said it's like 7 years until you get like everything back to normal, which is
Mhm.
insane. And then you
Yes.
add another child or children onto that. So like, how do you deal? How did you deal, or how are you dealing with like the pressure to bounce back, or like to get what I hate the most is like get your body back. It's like
Yeah.
my body is completely different because I just birthed a human being. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go back to my 27-year-old body
Right.
because I'm a woman
I'm
now.
a
I'm a
woman now,
mama.
and my hips are wider, my pants
Yeah.
don't fit. Yeah,
Yeah.
so with that pressure, unfortunately, with my first son, I didn't like retain my body back very fast at all because
Yeah.
I didn't sleep. Like it was just like
Your
your how
body's
is your
holding on to everything.
everything, and then your stress, your cortisol, everything. So like it took forever for
Mhm.
me to start feeling like myself again
Yeah.
in general. And then so like at that 2 year mark, I was still about 220-ish or so.
Mhm.
And I was just starting to like feel like myself, getting back to the gym. My son was fine with going to the daycare without like crying and then getting called, to come pick
Yeah.
him right back up. So that was frustrating. And then of course I got pregnant with Rami. Uh,
It's always at that time.
that's
You're
what
like,
happens because your body's
ah.
like, oh, I'm fertile again.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I look hot. Let's
I
do
look
this.
great. Fantastic. And then with my second son, I gained another like 70, 80 pounds because I
Mhm.
was on
Yeah.
pelvic girdle pain. I couldn't work out. I couldn't do all that kind of stuff. So that was frustrating. I was 280 pounds at my biggest
Mhm.
with Rami. So coming back now, I'm trying, and I know from my health wise, like, it's just that you lose that initial postpartum weight, like
Yeah.
your water, your milk, your
Yeah.
placenta, blah, blah, blah. So
Your
that's like
uterus goes
20,
back to a
30
normal
pounds.
size.
Yeah. And that's 20, 30 pounds
Yeah.
right there, ladies. Like, don't feel like it's just all you.
Yeah.
That a lot of that will go down immediately after postpartum. And that was like 3 months after. Then I got down to 250, and I was like, I don't want to be this big again. I was this big at one time in my life. I
Mhm.
was when I was very younger. I was very younger.
I
I
was like,
was
that's
250 pounds at one point when I had recently got diagnosed with polycystic
Mhm.
ovarian syndrome. So like having a hormone imbalance problem is already hard enough to lose weight.
Yeah.
So this time I'm trying to spearhead it a little bit more now that this one actually sleeps. It
Yeah.
helps a
Thank
lot.
God.
And now I'm a stay-at-home mom again. So like that's kind of my routine is I try to just go to the gym every day. I am on a weight loss journey with trizepatide, which has been
Mhm.
really helpful. And if ladies need a kickstart to like get things weight loss, I mean, it's not a bad thing to try and get on these medications if you can't. Like if you're trying and trying and it's so hard and you're just not losing any
Yeah.
weight,
Yeah.
have something that like give you a boost to like help you like lose it. I'm almost at 50 pounds
That's wild.
lost
You look great
since.
though.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, lost like almost 50 pounds since June.
Yeah.
So
You started all in June?
yeah. Oh no, like from like 250 in June.
Oh, okay. I was like, I feel like it hasn't
Um,
been that long.
and then I started the shots like end of October, early November. Um, and I was
She
still,
talks about this on her other Instagram a
I
lot of
do.
the whole the whole journey from start to
I
end.
do. If you
I'm
guys have any
curious.
questions on it too, please feel free to shoot me a message. And I'll send you the functional medicine doctor that I talked to and work with for it. She's wonderful. But yeah, it's 50 pounds in almost 50 pounds in what, 3 or 4 months?
Mhm.
So it's been a journey, but
Yeah.
definitely still working, still going at it, and
Yeah.
it's been really good. How about yourself?
Uh, I think with same thing similar to you, like after your first kid, like I finally around 2 years after Campbell was born, or I guess a year and a half,
Uh-huh.
I was like getting back down to like
Yeah.
my size 8 jeans
Yeah,
and
I remember you're like, I
fitting
got
like
my
I
jeans.
bought new jeans and then I found out I was pregnant. I was like,
Like, no.
oh,
Yeah.
yay,
That's
but
what happens.
also like I just spent a bunch of money and I know I'm not gonna fit back in these in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that was, and then the second one, I think it took a little bit longer. 'Cause I think my body was holding on to a lot of trauma too.
Yeah.
And you just like your body's not functioning as good as it should,
Mm-hmm.
especially the second one because
Oh
it's like
yeah.
your hormones get out of whack really easily. You're
Absolutely.
stressed, you
Yeah.
have a different life. I think finding out about my hormones was a big thing after I had Rhea because I was like, I
Yeah.
don't, there's a certain period where you're not supposed to feel yourself. Like you literally
Right.
have your hormones balancing out, but then there's a period where it's like, okay, things aren't going the way I should, or
Yeah.
like I'm having all these symptoms. So I did the Dutch test and,
Mm-hmm.
checked my hormones throughout the month and, it came back relatively normal, which is frustrating and good
Right.
at the same time. But I did find out like, I had the motherfucker gene, which is you don't
Me
methylate.
too.
Yeah, you don't methylate. So that was a nice like kickstart to like go down certain routes. And then it eventually led me down the route of finding out like I have endometriosis.
Yeah.
So like that goes along with hormone imbalance, weight, and all that sort of stuff. And it
Oh
really
yeah.
wasn't until I went to the functional doctor too, um, here in town where, just trying to figure out like, hey, your hormones look good. Like, where is all of this inflammation? And I think a lot of it
Right.
was like diet and like trying to, because I went gluten free,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to like manage my sleep
Yeah.
and manage stress, which is almost impossible,
It is, and
but
it's really
like
hard. Those factors,
cortisol,
unfortunately,
yeah.
have such a big balance. Sleep, stress, all of
Yeah.
it. It's like,
I think
oh.
sleep and diet was a huge thing because all of a sudden I lost like 20 pounds. I felt like almost overnight. And it
Yeah,
was like
it
something
was.
like,
It was very quickly, and I was
yeah,
like, "Oh, you look girl."
I know. I was just like, everybody's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't
Like, I
know.
just like woke up and just felt different. I think it was just like giving my body what it needs because I started taking my supplements that I'm on now
Yes,
and like
very important.
being mindful of treating my body in the right way. And I think that's a big message too that especially with women's health. It's like we don't
Yes.
have all this resource and access as much as men do. So we have
Mhm.
to advocate a lot for yourself.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
you're always told, "Oh, it's postpartum; it'll come off." But if you just don't feel right, then you
Yeah,
search
check
it
it out.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's no harm in doing that. And it's not. Sometimes I guess it could be kind of scary,
Mhm.
which I totally understand because you're like, I don't want to find out something major. But like,
Yeah.
majority of women get autoimmune diseases,
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's just like
absolutely.
it's better I fight with the better that you know versus like ignorance is bliss,
Right.
but because I'm kind of more of a health anxious person.
And that's understandable, though. I mean, I still feel like any woman should have to advocate for
Yeah.
herself because a lot of the times we're just told, "Oh, it's because you're postpartum. It'll
Yeah.
it'll go back." And it's like, but it didn't go back, and I
Yeah.
don't feel normal.
Oh, a big thing that just popped in my mind is like, okay, so we can talk about like postpartum, like depression and
Yes.
anxiety. Which I had depression and anxiety before, but
Mhm.
no one told me another thing was like postpartum rage,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
fucking nuts. And I've
Yes.
talked to more women too that are like, I had the rage where you're just like angry and you
Uh-huh.
snap and you're just like, I don't, I feel like a horrible person because I just have so much rage inside of me. And
Mhm.
it's like, you're told about the depression and the anxiety, but like no one tells you you're just fucking mad.
Yep.
And that's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Like you have
Yeah.
every reason to be mad. You got the hormones, you got a whole new life, you got a lot of stressors, and you lose your autonomy,
Yeah.
essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that
Absolutely.
was a big thing. Did you deal with any depression or anxiety?
I did. I had a lot of anxiety at first having Cairo, just again,
Mhm.
first time mom
Yeah.
and not having anybody here. You have people for your postpartum, like
Yeah.
it was during COVID still. So
They
like,
always come in like the first week and you're like, I need you to
yeah.
come in like the month.
the month when they are actually awake.
Yeah. I got this
Yeah.
part.
Well, like it was nice because like with when Kyra was born, it was during COVID, so it was still like COVID high risk. So we had everybody come in like different times. Like my sister came for a week, and then my
hmm
mom came for 2 weeks, and then my dad came for a week and a half, and like trying to
hmm
break it up to like get assistance
Yeah.
during so many weeks. Um, and but then I was alone.
Yeah.
And when I'm alone, then I'll start freaking out. Because so Cairo was an awful car rider and would cry bloody murder every time you put him in the car seat.
Fun.
So that gave me anxiety. I felt like he was gonna like hurt himself in the car seat because he would literally like it sounded like you were ripping him limb to limb in the
Yeah.
back seat.
And like that tugs that like the connection the mom and
Yes.
baby has is like you're feeling exactly what he feels. It's not just like an
Uh
overwhelm of
huh.
he's crying. It's like you
Like I feel
internally
it
feel
too.
it.
So I
Yeah.
would literally have to like pull over the car sometimes and like just like get him out and try to do
Ugh.
it again. Like it was
Yeah.
really that was anxiety. So taking him anywhere was causing anxiety.
Yeah.
Another reason of taking him anywhere because I was always worried that like child abduction. They always like
Oh
tell you
yeah.
about
Oh
that. And
God.
he's a fresh little brand new
Yeah.
newborn baby. Like
Yeah.
they're like, ooh,
Well, then you
brand
got
new
the people
baby.
that are like, "Oh, he shouldn't be out already," like,
Yeah,
that sort of stuff, like the germs, and you're
yeah,
like, "Hey, there's gotta be a happy medium between,
yeah.
like, exposing him and
Yeah, well, and
not, like."
usually, like, I wouldn't take him anywhere unless it was his doctor's appointments or lactation appointments.
Well, yeah,
Like,
especially during COVID when everybody gave
yeah,
you the side eye for, like,
yeah.
going outside.
But it's like I had to do it, and
Yeah.
then of course, like, we'd be at the hospital, like, getting his like lab done or something
Mhm.
after we had the lactation thing or whatever, and then of course all these people would be like, "Baby," and I'm like, "Go away! Like,
Yeah.
don't touch my baby or come near my baby." It's
Yeah.
literally COVID. I have
It's
a
not a
sign.
puppy, you can't just pet
Yeah,
it.
they would try like almost get near and I'm like, I literally had a sign on his carrier that said, it's kind of cute. I
No
still have it.
solicitations.
It literally says, "Llama, stay. Please still stay 6 feet away."
Aw.
Because I'm like, he's a fresh baby. Like, please do not. Because like people would like
Yeah.
randomly like want to come like touch your baby or come near you, and it's like,
Yeah.
one, I didn't give you permission to be in their space. Two, there's COVID and germs and whatever else. Like you're just gonna like try and cut. Like, stop. Even
Yeah.
now, like people are like randomly want to come up to Rami whenever I have in the gym, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Old ladies, stay back.
yes, all the
Someone
time.
mine is at the grocery store and they come up and like grab their foot or like talk really close. I'm like, I don't even want to talk to you, let alone my kids know
I
this
know,
stranger.
and they're like, "Who the fuck are you? Why are
Yeah.
you touching me?
Yeah.
Like, or coming near me? Like,
Yeah.
they don't know who you are. Stranger danger. Hello."
Yeah. And don't
Um.
forget to put your socks on your baby.
Oh my
God damn
god.
it.
God damn it.
They don't even stay
And
on
I'm
to
like,
begin
my
with.
kid just tore his socks off in the car. You want to go get him?
Yeah.
Because that's it. And then definitely had so the anxiety with that and anxiety with like going to the gym and stuff like that, just with him because again, COVID and
hmm
getting sick. So I feel like that also made Cairo kind of a clingy baby in certain areas, because
Yeah.
it can
A
leave
lot
with
of
him
COVID
anybody.
babies
Yeah.
are, yeah.
So that was that. And then almost a year after he was born, I went into like postpartum depression, which was weird. Like it was like late onset, like
hmm
postpartum depression. And I didn't know why. I would like cry fits. And my husband's like,
Yeah.
"What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
I don't
I
know.
would
It
just like
just,
be like bawling. And I'm like, "I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I don't know
yeah.
what's wrong with me." And they're like, "It's just postpartum
Yeah. Well,
depression.
you
It can
also
come
didn't
on and
sleep.
say,
So you're probably just like
yeah. But
having a release of anything.
literally, it was the weirdest thing because it would literally just be I
Oh, yeah.
just rolling out of my eye. I don't know.
I feel like I do that now sometimes. I don't know what's happening.
Okay, that's stress.
Me earlier
Stress,
today. You okay? I'm fine.
stress related. I'm like, sure. Want to talk about it?
Nope. I'm gonna cry some more.
Ooh, okay, it's okay. How about you? What was your like anxiety and depression ratio after postpartum?
That's a good question because I dealt with depression and anxiety before I had kids.
Uh huh.
Um, More so, I feel like I was more familiar with dealing
Mhm.
with depression. Um, so it felt, I think, more familiar, and I don't want to say the word comfortable, but
Mhm.
like, oh, I know what this feeling is.
Yeah.
It'll eventually pass, or like, yeah, I'm sad.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think I was a very anxious like mom, as in like, oh, he can't breathe or that sort of stuff. Like I would definitely
I
go
did
in and
that.
like stick my
I
finger under
definitely
his
did that.
nose.
Me and
I
Omar
mean, I
both
do
did
the
that.
normal stuff of like,
We're like,
is he breathing? But I also just wasn't like neurotic about it.
mhm.
Like I said, I had the rage of just, I think the big part of me was just like the exhaustion that you felt. And I
Uh huh.
felt, I guess, I don't want to use the word betrayal in the right word, but like, I want I like to be someone that's prepared for something and know what's gonna
Yeah.
anxiety, know what's gonna happen or
Anxiety.
like the information. But like I was just mad that like no one told me I was gonna feel this way. No one told me, and
Yeah.
like that's putting
Yeah.
responsibility on somebody else. But like also you don't know the situation, and then
Yeah.
if you look online, like I watched a lot of YouTube videos when I was pregnant about like people's birth stories or like
Oh, yeah.
afterwards, and that kind of helped too because it was more of our generation telling their
Yeah.
story than coming from your mom who hasn't had kids in
Yeah.
30 years and they only have the good memories and
Oh,
that
my
sort of
mom
stuff.
was so graphic. She was like, "I'll tell you like it is."
Oh no, my mom was like, she had 4 kids, so of course she loved being
She
pregnant. She
loved
would
being
have had more
pregnant.
and like
My
that
moms
was
were all
her.
oops.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was an oop, but they kept me. So,
My mom was all oops, like, cause she had my brother was an oops.
yeah.
She was very, very young, like 18, and then she married my dad, and I was born a year later, and
Yeah.
so like 3 months into they're pregnant, and then my sister, she was literally going to the doctor to get birth control, and it was like 6 months postpartum
Oh
with me,
no.
and they were like, "You're pregnant." She's like, "I'm sorry, what?"
No, 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 please don't
She's
say
like, "I'm
this.
here for birth control. Are you fucking kidding me right now?" And they were like, "Nope,
Oh,
surprise."
well, this is birth control
She's
because you
like, "I
can't
just
get
have a
pregnant.
baby. I don't want a baby." So it was like,
Yeah. So like I said, it was like the rage. I had a lot of rage and anger. Because I think the biggest part, which can roll into our next question, is like I said earlier, is like the loss of autonomy. And I'm a very hyper independent person, and so
yeah,
like when I want to do something, I want to go and do something, and your life just turns upside down because you can't do these things that you wanted to do, and you don't feel like asking everybody to watch them, especially if you don't have people around. And
yeah,
when
absolutely,
Campbell was born, we were back in Atlanta, so we did have both families around, which was great.
yeah,
But you also have that sense of guilt for
yeah,
like you know, leaving your baby with
oh
them or
yeah.
going to do something because
Mom
then,
guilt is
ugh,
so real.
don't you just miss them? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
no, but like I enjoy my time
yeah,
out for myself and just like, none of your choices are yours anymore. And I think that was the
uh-huh,
biggest reality shift for me. It's just like I'm so focused on, doing my life the way I've done it. And
right.
not like I don't want to involve my kids, but you just go from it's like a 180 flip,
Yeah,
it's like not an ease into it. It's just
no,
like
it's
your life
straight
is
like
totally
this is
different
it.
now. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the noises, we talk about ADHD and autism or whatever. It's like the stimuli that you get
Oh yeah,
is overwhelming. And,
yeah,
and like mother and child bond is like they're ingrained, like you share DNA now.
yeah,
So it's like
exactly,
the
literally.
cries, like it's scientifically proven, like the cries like affect the mother way more than it affects the
Yeah,
father and this sort of
absolutely,
stuff. So like you feel
absolutely.
it. You can't just sit and listen to it like a dude
No,
can. You're like,
yeah,
please do something or
like
like the
please,
overwhelm. And
yeah,
so that was a big shift for me. I mean, even now, I mean, I think we're both in the thick of it with having the kids the age
yeah,
that we are. Um, it just requires a lot of physical
yeah,
stuff, which again, I wasn't prepared for either. Like you kind of know, but like you're so physically exhausted because the amount that you do. And like
yeah,
each age range is different because I talk to other people. It's like, they get a little bit older and it's less physical because they're more, they have their own autonomy.
hmm,
But now it's emotional.
right,
And then you get into teenagers and it's the mental. And it's
yes.
like, okay, that sort of stuff. And it's, I think that was the biggest shift for me and still figuring it out too. And I think guilt, yeah, mom guilt is
Yeah,
such a thing
it's
because
such a
there's so
thing.
much information that Instagram or TikTok throws at you from someone's belief, and then you believe that you're doing it wrong. And like, we set the society has set us up for like failure
Yeah,
essentially. It's like the class of like you're supposed to mother like um what is it? Like you're supposed to work like you don't have children, and you're
yeah,
supposed to mother like you don't have a job. And it's like,
correct.
why can't we do
Why can't do
both?
both? Yeah,
What
yeah.
about you? With like the expectations. I know you're a single mom now. Not single mom.
I was like, Becca.
That's me. A
I was like,
stay at
Omar's
home
upstairs.
mom.
He's gonna be like, huh? What happened? Is there something I should
Newsflash.
know? You're joining the divorce test. So. Sorry.
He's like, but I don't want to.
I don't want to. I don't want to be part of this group.
No.
I love you, honey.
Stay at home, mom. Or what was your? Ooh, I don't even remember,
I know
I
my
guess.
face.
Maybe it's
Oh, mom guilt. Got
mom
it.
guilt, especially being a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, I have a lot of that, and I still have a lot of it. I mean, a lot of the mom guilt for me stems with how I treat my children
Mhm.
because I'm dealing with postpartum rage, postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, postpartum, and then just like with my hormones, and then ADD.
Yeah.
So it's hard because having a kid on the spectrum, you have to be very patient. And when you have ADD, you're not that patient. And so
Yeah.
it's really hard to get on their level. And I feel like I try so hard, but there are days where I just feel like the worst mom, like
Yeah.
in the world, like just trying not to yell, trying not to be upset.
Yeah.
But, there are times where there are things that get out of hand and it's like you have to correct
Yeah.
things, and but it makes you feel awful.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm like my kid's literally just gonna remember me like yelling at him or
Yeah.
telling him to put his clothes away or whatever, just
Yeah.
in general. And it's that mom guilt for me is honestly the worst and something I'm trying to deal with, something I'm trying to go through right now with
Yeah.
therapy and everything. And unfortunately, I don't know how to change. I keep
Yeah.
trying and doing the steps and what therapy says to do and what
Yeah.
child therapy says to do, like the
Yeah.
therapist, like the physical therapist. And it's frustrating because going to those places, they tell you to do these certain like steps, but it doesn't work for every child
Right.
because
They're
every
not in your
child is
home.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and every child is different. So like just because one kid is on the spectrum and they respond this way doesn't mean that mine does.
Yeah.
Because
And
like
I feel like you may one day and the next day you won't. You're like, well,
yeah, yeah. So it's that's the biggest mom guilt I have. But then I also have the fact that like I'm 33 years old and I just finished my degree, so that took me a
mm-hmm.
long time. And now like my career's on hold again, and
Yeah.
like it takes forever to get back in the workforce. And what if I don't get a job? And like
Yeah.
so all of that is like constantly just like in the back of my brain. But then it's like you want to be there for your kids
Mm-hmm.
because you only have little kids for 4 years before they like hit kindergarten and
No.
start
Yeah.
hitting that. So it's like it's hard because I'm literally just torn in half.
Yeah. No,
What
I totally get that.
yeah. I mean, how are you dealing with like being a full-time working mom and kids?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know any different because like I said, I with all of my jobs, I never really got a full maternity leave, which
Uh-huh.
is crap. At first time
Yeah.
I didn't even the only way I could take it was voluntarily do it,
Mhm.
and that was unpaid for a month, and that was
Yeah.
about as much as I could
Of
do.
course. Yeah, I get that.
And so both of my children were home with me with like the first 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
It's not so bad when they're little because they're not moving. They're
Yeah.
not getting into shit. They're not doing that sort of stuff. So it's like I don't know what it's like to go to an office and leave my kids. Luckily, Campbell's in school now and Rhea goes to daycare 3 days a week, but I have her home 2 days because
Mhm.
she's still little. Like she
Yeah.
still needs that connection and also saves me money.
Yeah.
And
It's expensive for
yeah,
daycare. I told you how much it was for Rami. That's why I
yeah,
don't go. I'm
yeah.
a stay-at-home mom for this reason. Daycare is ridiculous.
Yeah. And so I've just learned to juggle that. And I think, we talked about it on the Bad Bosses episode of where that's kind of come into play in my work performance
Yeah.
and kind of like used against me or like I use it against myself too, because it's just like I'm split in so many directions at once where I
Yeah.
can't sit down and focus like I want to, because someone's coming up and needing something and, mom guilt, you don't want to just stick them on a movie all day long. Rhea won't she's really good at playing by herself, but like, you need to feed them. You need to,
Right.
make sure they're okay. You can't just like sit them in the basement, hope
Yeah.
like, hey, are you okay? Because she'll come wandering
You
up
good
like
down there?
15 minutes by herself down there, and
Yeah.
she comes like, Mom, I
Yeah.
want this. Mom, I want that. And then it's
Yeah.
like, you got to pick your kids up at 3,
Yeah.
but you're supposed to work till 5.
Mhm.
So like, I'm sometimes at work, and then you have to drop them off in the morning at 8:30.
8:30. Mhm.
And sometimes I used to work from like 7 to 7:30, get them ready, get them out the door, 8, come back and rush, and I'm already feeling
Rush. Yeah.
behind,
Mhm.
and then it's like I need to catch up on work because I'm not done with the day by the time I pick them up,
Right.
and I get this a lot now, now that Campbell's a little bit earlier, young, a little bit older,
Uh-huh.
um, he's aware of mommy's on the computer, she's working, and he does the "Mommy, why are you working so much? Mommy, why
Mhm.
don't you play with me? Mommy,
Yeah.
you're taking forever." And you're just like,
Cairo does
dude,
that with Omar when he's working at home, when he's home. Yeah.
yeah, talk about like feeling
Yeah.
like shit. And
Yeah.
you just want to be
Yeah.
like, well, this is how we live here.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. We keep trying to explain it. We're like,
yeah,
this is how mommy and daddy are able to afford this house. This is how we're able to have a car. Like,
yeah,
and he just like, they're still at the concept of we're like, what?
yeah, no, no, yeah. So it's just like, I know a lot of working moms too of just being like, how do you expect me to go to my all of my kids' functions
Yeah.
while working?
Yeah.
And, luckily sometimes you can find a good employer that's like has kids and understand. I think it's
Right.
slowly evolving, but still not
Yeah.
to the support that it should be.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And I think that's such crap because, like, I really, really enjoy going to my kids' school functions. Like,
Yeah.
that was things that, like, so I couldn't go to all of them when my son was finally in daycare, but I would always make my effort to at least make the Christmas one or the Valentine's Day
Yeah.
one because those were like big ones.
Yeah,
Like I
for
was like
sure.
wanting to like this. I would like surprise him and he wouldn't had no idea that I was
Yeah.
gonna be there. And it was just like the biggest,
Well, then you see
smile that
their little
lights in their
faces.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get to share Christmas cookies with them, like
Yeah.
sugar all over the face. Like it's fun. Like then, but like those moments, it's like I want to be there for that because my
Yeah.
mom was always working too and like
Mm.
never showed up to any of those like
Yeah.
school events. And I would always remember like some friends that had their moms. They were like stay at home moms,
Yeah.
and they would constantly be there at those like
Yeah.
little events or like volunteering, to help
Yeah.
with like the projects or whatever.
Yeah. Because that
So
was my mom. Literally, Campbell last week or whatever was talking about this field trip that they went on. They have like one field trip a year where they
uh
go to
huh,
the farm. And I was going to it, but I got the time wrong and I was like rushing because I was
uh
working.
huh,
I showed up there at the end because I was like, I can't not show up because
yeah.
I told him
I
I
was
was going
gonna
to be there.
come.
So I was
Yeah,
like hauling ass.
like I
Luckily
got
Fort
you.
Collins is not super far to go anywhere, but I was just like screeching into the parking lot, like, oh my
Like,
God. I see all the other moms there already. Like,
yeah.
and he brought it up. He was like, remember that time I went on the field trip and I pulled this and you weren't there? And I was like,
Ah, I know.
I did come, but I was
It's
late.
late.
It's like,
Yeah.
damn, they don't mean it in like a malicious way, but
Right.
like they
The kids
noticed
are just blunt or
they
tell it like it is.
weren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you advocate for yourself during your delivery?
Um, being the people pleaser that I am.
Oh Lord.
um, you know, like I didn't know what to expect from birth. First with Campbell, my water broke and I didn't go into labor, so I had to go in and be induced. So
Yeah.
like that was already totally different than what I was expecting. Movies, you see the water break, you rush to
Yeah.
the hospital,
Like it's
you go
fine.
into labor a couple of hours and
Yeah.
it's there. It's like, no, I was there for 12 hours on this Pitocin drip and just being like my body won't do what it's supposed
To
to
do.
naturally do.
Yeah.
And I did have the epidural. Um so I think the first time I didn't know what was going on.
Uh-huh.
Um and then like especially with all the stuff they do with the baby afterwards and like
Yeah.
you're in this haze because you just pop one out and you have all
Yeah.
these nurses
Oh
around you.
yeah.
They took the baby away to do stuff. And so I kind of relied on their dad a little bit to take that reins because I was just
Yeah.
like, they're pulling out my placenta right now. Like I can't
Right.
like ask questions. But with Rhea, I chose to be induced earlier because I kept having false labor
Yeah.
and knowing that my body does not go
Go
into
into
labor
labor.
willingly. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm so uncomfortable. So again, I was induced with Pitocin and um, they were a lot better here
Mm.
in Fort Collins than Atlanta, I would say, about checking in on me and like because before when I was induced with Campbell, they told me I couldn't eat.
That's
And
rude.
yeah,
I'd be like,
yeah. So they like had to take me off of it in the morning to do that, and I was like, "Great!" So I'm like starting from ground zero again.
oh,
So then I talked to the nurse here. They're like, "No, it's totally
totally
fine."
fine.
Like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
It's totally fine. I'd have
like
been like, I'm gonna eat.
yeah,
Period.
like their dad's over there eating pizza. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Like I'm doing all the hard work.
Yeah.
Um, no, and then I did get an epidural a second time just because that it, like I said, I'm already on the pitocin drip that
Yeah.
causes you to contract
Cracked.
harder
Yes.
than normal, and I didn't want to fucking feel the pain, and it helps my
Yeah.
body relax because once I get that, my body's allowed to like chill
Chill. Yeah.
and do what it's supposed to do. Because my kids came fast. Like both of mine, like I was in labor forever, and then the last hour, I just
Yeah.
went from like 4 to
Boom.
10
Boom.
each
Yep.
time, and like pushed a couple times, and they were out. And I was like, seriously, like
Yep.
okay.
all it took.
Yeah. And so especially with when Rhea came out, she came out and she had tore my cervix. So
Yeah.
then that was the whole thing. They like put her on my chest. She was totally fine, but they were trying to stop the bleeding. I had lost like
Uh-huh.
a liter and a half, and the OR comes running in,
Oh
asking me all these
God.
questions, and I'm like shaking because of like
Oh yeah,
all
you
the
get the
stuff.
body shakes because that's what
Yeah.
happens after
And
labor.
yeah. And so I had no idea what was going on. So I don't think I had like I didn't have a birth plan like a lot
Mm,
of people. I wasn't like I'm going to be in these positions because with
yeah,
the pitocin you're literally stuck to an IV.
yeah.
You can't
You can't
really.
really do a lot.
And
Yeah.
yeah, with Campbell, I was like, oh, maybe I'll walk around. I took 2 steps. I was like,
Nope. Yeah.
nope, it hurts so bad. I
Yeah.
was like, no. So I wish I could have. I don't even say I wish, but like I do have respect for like natural girlies that are like, oh, I'm gonna do
Oh,
it
for
this way,
sure.
and like I'm gonna listen to like I was giving birth while what was the movie with like Batman and a little coat? Like that movie was starting to play when I was giving
With
birth
Chris
to
Farley.
Campbell, and the doctor was like, "We turn that off." I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't like
That's
what is
great.
happening."
That's great.
What
Love
about you?
that. My first delivery, I didn't know what to expect. Like I took the birthing classes and the
I
whole
didn't take
bang.
one.
I did them online because COVID.
Yeah.
So they had these like birthing classes you could sign up for
Mm.
and what to expect, blah blah blah. So me and Omar took them together, and they usually recommend your partner does it with you, so they know what to expect. Especially if they're
Yeah.
going to be your person in the room, they were like, have them take it too, so they know what to do.
Yeah.
Um, so we took the classes, so we knew what to expect. But of course, me working medical, I wasn't like super concerned.
Mhm.
And even me going in, they were like, "What's your birth plan?" And I was like, honestly, I was like, I don't have one. I would
Yeah.
like to see how far I could go without an epidural or drugs or whatever. And but we'll just play it by ear. Like,
That's another thing about the epidural too, is like nurse was watching um my like they have the
uh
scans or
huh,
whatever going in, like they measure the contractions. She's
yeah.
like, I was waiting for you to ask for the epidural. I was like, I don't know.
I don't
You're supposed to
know.
tell me,
You have to
like
ask me.
yeah.
Well, that's kinda like what happened to me, so, like, I told her, I was like, "I'll just see how far I can go because
Hmm.
like, I would like to go natural if it's possible, but
Yeah.
I don't know my body because 'cause I've
Yeah.
never gone through labor."
Never done this before.
Yeah, never done this before, so she was like, "Okay, cool," but seemed like she seemed really chill at first, and, like, I, like, had the vibes, like, I put
Hmm.
on, like, really relaxing, like,
Oh,
music,
nice.
and we, like, put, like, twinkle lights in the rooms because they were like, "Make it like an ambiance," like,
Hmm.
a focus point, da, 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 like, to help you with your labor.
Yeah.
So, like, I had this, like, little stuffy toy,
Oh.
for Cairo that I was gonna give it to him,
Yeah.
when he, like, born, and then Omar was so
Things took
cute.
a
He
turn.
turned on all the little, like, fairy twinkle lights and, like, just, like, put them
Yeah.
all over. He's like, "Do you want one on your IV? Would you like one up here?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Put one on
Like,
me.
yeah, I was like, just, just getting the vibes. And like, even in like I asked for a room with a bathtub so I could like
Mm.
have the bathtub and like
Yeah.
get in the water and move around and help
Yeah.
me like move things along with being induced. Cause first they gave me the tab,
Mm.
Pitocin, uh, and had me eat that first and then see how it
Mm.
went. And then, they started doing the IV,
Hmm.
but they were nice enough to like disconnect me for a little while so I could like get in the tub like when I started feeling some contractions and stuff because I was like, "Ooh, I'm starting to feel.
Hmm.
Can I get in the warm bath? I think that would feel good,"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah, well, let's do it." And this is after the point I had like the awful cervical checks. Like they were like,
Oh.
"Okay, nothing's happening. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We're gonna break your water and this
Ooh.
whole thing." Like
Okay.
because like
Yeah.
nothing was happening, but I was like having pain and all this stuff. So like they broke my water, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm really uncomfortable. Can I get in the bath like to help me out?" Well, when I think the heat of the bath like sped up the process.
You were like, ready, set, go.
'Cause I got in the tub and I was like, "Oh," like, I was like
Yeah.
that and I was like, "Get me out of the tub, get me out," like, after
Pull
been
me
there in,
out.
like, for
Yeah.
15 minutes, and I was just like 'cause, like, it's just, like,
Yeah.
started, like, really coming, and I was in so much pain, the body shakes came on,
Yeah.
and I was like, "I want the epidural."
Yeah.
And then I felt like my nurse changed her attitude about me
Mm.
completely
Mm.
because I wanted the drugs
She's like, you
now.
got the twinkle lights in the
Yeah,
bathtub.
she thought I was gonna be like, ooh, she was like, "I'm loving the vibes in here," like, like
Rude.
you like loving this whole like going natural thing. So I think she was one of those that's just
Mm.
like doesn't believe in like having drugs like for your kids. And I was like, I physically couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I was like to the point I was like shaking
Yeah.
like convulsingly and in so
Yeah.
much pain. Even Omar, like he didn't know what to do. Like he was just
Yeah.
like he gets this like look on his face. He's like, because he's like, I don't know what to do, and I feel so bad because my wife is in pain, and I don't know
Yeah.
what to do,
Yeah.
and I can't. There's nothing
Then
I
you
can
could do.
physically
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So I told him I wanted the epidural, and then of course she's like, forever.
They take like an hour.
Oh my God. I was like,
Please tell us that ahead of time.
where in
Like it
the
takes about an
fuck is
hour
this
to
guy?
get. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got pissed, and then I finally get the epidural, and they were like, well, it's gonna take a while. So, and she just like leaves. They're like, we're just gonna let you like lay down. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay. And I was like, I'm gonna lay down because I'm exhausted.
Yeah, and then your legs are numb, so you literally have to
Yeah.
rotate from side to
I'm like
side.
laying on my side, and shit, you know, like 5 minutes later, I'm like, Omar, get the
Yeah.
doctor right now.
Yeah.
Right now. Because once they broke my water,
Mm.
I go into labor fast.
Oh, okay.
So my body was like, nah, bitch, she's coming now.
Like
And
I have to poop now.
I was like, yeah, I was like, well, that's the thing.
Really
Is like,
coming.
I pooped earlier, thank God. Like, I felt it. I was
But
like,
that's
I
a
had to poop.
sensation that
Yeah.
I feel like
I
you
felt
feel.
his
Yeah.
head.
Oh yeah.
No, I felt his head. I
Okay.
was like, Omar, get the doctor right now.
Wait, you feel pressure in your
I
little bit of
felt
head
it.
coming out. Yeah.
I felt him. I was like,
Oh.
get the doctor right now. Right now.
Yeah.
Like, I could feel his head like just submerging. And he was like ran outside, got the nurse, and then the doctor, of course, she comes in meandering in, and she's like, it could take a while for you. I was like,
No,
ma'am,
bitch, look at my legs.
I was like, he's coming right now, right now. And she looked, oh look, he's in the canal. Okay, let's go. And I was like, he's
Hello?
literally about to drop out. Like, you better go football catch
Yeah.
him. Like, ooh.
Yeah.
So that was a very like rough experience, and I feel like I wish I would have spoke up a little bit more, like with that nurse and whatnot,
Yeah.
because like that was frustrating. And then them like doing the cervical check, because like my doctor wasn't there for
Mhm.
my birth. She
Same.
like she was there for the birth, but not the induction portion, because there was
Mine
another
were.
doctor on call.
Yeah, mine were both not there.
So, and I wish I had had my doctor there, because
Mm.
she's very like, her and I get the same vibe, I guess you'd say, and like
Mhm.
same wavelength, same questions, like
Yeah.
concerns.
You've been
Like
with her this whole 9 months.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I feel like her and I would have been better
Mhm.
during the whole process, because during my second birth, we were fine until Rami decided to come
Yeah.
in first.
Oh yeah.
But like
Hello.
Fairback and I were vibing, we're having a great time. I came in to get induced, and she put the IV drip on. She's like, okay. And she's like, oh, you're like a centimeter centimeter.
Mhm.
Cause like I had been trying to do like the curb jumps and everything, and I
Yeah.
like get like labor. She's like, oh, you're like a centimeter. That's great. So like,
But like you stay at a centimeter for a long
yeah,
time with your
yeah.
second kid,
But with
anyways.
Cairo, I didn't have anything.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I'm saying
None.
your second baby. I
Yeah.
feel like you can be a centimeter dilated with still like 1 month to
Oh
go.
yeah, absolutely.
But you're
But
like,
I
oh
was
my
just,
god.
I was thinking like, oh my God, because like my body was actually
Yeah.
like trying to like
Yeah.
go into labor.
Yay.
So, you know, like, cause like with Kai, nothing happened. He was
Yeah.
still really hot and like completely closed off. They were like,
Oh.
yeah, there's nothing was happening. Nothing. So that's why the cervical checks were like super painful. 'Cause she
Yeah.
was like
Hello.
whole arm in there. Yeah. So the second time she was great. Like, you know, it was my doctor who was doing the induction. We did the drip. And I felt contractions, and I was like,
Mhm.
great, this is
Mm.
going well. And she
Yeah.
was like, look, she was like, okay, well, the cervix is softened. We're still not like dilated.
Mhm.
She's like, but we can get this process going if you want, and just go ahead and break your water. And I was like, let's do it.
Okay.
Broke my water again, went into labor fast, broke immediately as she put the balloon in, stepped out, broke, came back in. It's like, oh, that was the fastest I think I've ever had someone's balloon break. And it was like, bloop, and then all this water came. And I was like gonna go into labor, and then she checked me, and she was like, "Oh no."
Oh no.
She's
Your
like,
heart just drops.
she goes, "I have a hand or a foot." I was like,
Oh.
"No," and she like,
Let me
"Okay,
do some
get-"
somersaults.
Yeah, she was like, "Let me look at the ultrasound real quick," and like look, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh," and I love Dr. Verbeck. I love her. She literally goes, "Oh, Katie, I know this is not what you like planned, but I think we might have to go to a C-section because." She's like, "We could try, but I can't promise you then it won't, like, end up in a C-section." And I
Yeah.
was like,
Just do it.
"Bareback, I'm fine." I
Yeah.
was like, "If it needs to go to C-section, go right now
Yeah.
because I'd rather you do it before he gets stuck."
Yeah.
And then it's, like,
Then it's madness.
worse. And
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, okay." And, like,
Yeah.
runs off and, like, goes see the she's so cute. I love her. But then it was funny because the girl next door to me was going into labor at the exact same time
Mm.
with twins.
Oh.
And
Two for
so,
one deal.
and of
Come
course,
on.
she's the only doctor there.
Oh no.
So she's like, okay, Katie, since yours is going into a C-section, she's like, I'm just gonna go check on the other mom over there.
So
I'll
stressful.
be right back. Well, again, you broke my water, so I
Yeah.
start going into labor fast.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, like I'm feeling like cramps. I was like, oh my god, like hit the nurse button, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm having really, really bad like contractions are
Yeah.
starting. And she goes, okay, I'm gonna give you something to try and slow down your contractions.
Mhm.
Right? Doesn't work.
You
'Cause
already
she comes
sped
in
me up. There's
yeah,
no turning
yeah, so
back.
now, like, Doctor Mary, she comes back in and she goes, like, I literally went from, like, a 1 to a 4, and she
Yeah.
was like, "We gotta go now,
Oh,
like, right
yeah.
now."
Yeah.
She was like, "Tell them to call the other doctor and deliver this other baby because 'cause I'm going to
You're gonna have to
C-section."
hold on. I
Yeah,
got this girl over here.
and that was nerve-wracking in itself. I wish somebody would have prepared me for a C-section a little bit more.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
I was okay, but I was, like, anxious, really, really
Yeah.
anxious
You're
because
going
I'm
into
like
surgery.
yeah,
Yeah.
going into surgery, and they're rushing you, they're, like, running in, and they're like, "Okay, I want you to lay on your back, I'm gonna do this," and then, like, the anesthesia's, like, talking to you, but your brain's like,
Hello.
"Blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah," and I'm like, "Okay," I'm just, like, listening to what they're
Yeah.
saying because I'm trying to do what they want me to do, stay still,
Yeah.
epidural, this and this and that, blah, 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 and then, like, sit you down, don't see anything,
Yeah.
like, and then you just feel them, like
Swishing around. Yeah.
and you're
Ugh.
like, like
Is he in
and
there?
then they like pull them out and like show you, but like tears are like coming out of my
Yeah.
eyes because one, I'm anxious, and
Yeah.
two, then there's my baby, but then I can't move from the waist down.
Yeah.
Like it's a very nerve wracking
Yeah. I can
experience for
imagine.
sure.
I found out like with Rhea, um, they gave me like the peanut ball or whatever,
Yeah,
and that's when I went from like 4 to 10 within an hour.
yeah.
And then when she basically shot out, we found out afterwards because they had like we were like because I was there for so long, nurse shift.
uh
And so the first nurse was like older lady who'd done it forever, like super nice,
Yeah.
and her the next nurse was a little bit younger, so a little bit more spicy, I guess, and she was super nice still. But the girl that was her assistant, I was literally her first birth. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, you had
Oh,
such
I'm
a
so
traumatic
sorry.
one. When they're like rushing in because I'm bleeding, you see her over there just standing
She's
there.
like,
And then the nurse
like,
that
please
was
don't pass
actually
out.
helping me, and she's like, "That was her first one." I was like, "Oh my god, I am
Oh
so
God.
sorry." You could just see on her face, just like, "Okay, what do I do?" I was like, "Oh, threw you into the fire on that one. There you
That
go."
poor girl.
I
She's probably
know.
like, what did I get
Yeah,
something to?
exactly.
You're like, please don't pass out if you are going in the hall.
Well, we didn't know that it was her first time either until after. I was like, "Thank God I didn't know that until like
After, oh yeah,
afterwards."
they
Like,
wouldn't tell
try
you
not
on
to judge,
purpose.
but also just
Yeah,
like,
that's a bad one.
okay,
But at the
yeah,
same time, like you don't jump in feet first for those things. I mean,
yeah,
you gotta learn.
yeah, 100%.
Poor girl.
And I still remember her face just standing over there. She's like, you could tell she was like, I want to help, but like, I
I don't know
don't
what
know
to
what to do.
do.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
all the other nurses were like
and that's
pushing her
fine.
away.
Like,
Yeah.
don't jump in if you don't know what to do. Just don't. Just don't.
Just clean up
Too many
afterwards.
hands in the pots.
Yeah.
Like, let it go. All right. Well, I think we're sitting at like an hour and 4 minutes here.
Are we?
So yeah,
I couldn't see. I'm not surprised.
I'm not either. So we know this is going to be multiple
Yeah.
episodes. So
We
we'll
made it. We made
hit
it pretty
down.
good. Like the first half,
Yeah,
the pregnancy, the
I think we still
postpartum,
have
the
like
birth, 4 sections.
So this might be a 4 for.
We don't have to answer every question.
But
But yeah, I feel like next time talk about more of just like less about the birth and
absolutely.
more about children and motherhood and like especially toddlers too.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's the stage of life that we're in.
We're in right now. Yeah,
So we're
absolutely.
experts.
Just loving our advice.
Considering like my son was out in the yard yesterday, he was bent over just shitting in the yard. It's like the bathroom's right there, dude. He's like, "Look, mom, it's really like brown." I was like, "Yeah,
You're like, perfect.
it
Thank
is.
you
Let me
so
get the
much.
pooper scooper for the dogs." Motherhood.
This is boys, girl.
I know.
Boy, mom.
Just like, well, at least we have a privacy fence.
That's one thing I do envy very much is like girl moms for that reason.
And they're just as bad too.
I don't know, because like I have one friend that like her kids are just like little angels, like all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like,
No,
"Ah."
Rhea's more spicy than Campbell is.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Just maybe not as. No, I was gonna say physically.
No,
Like,
she's
no,
physically. She's a little badass.
Yeah. I take that back. No, yeah. Just a different vibe, but
Awesome.
yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, we're gonna wrap it up for the evening. Please do not forget to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. We would love to hear your comments and feedback about our episodes. Also, if there's a topic you want us to discuss, we'd be more than happy to hear your suggestions.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Cool.
Well, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.